So today is February 7th, and do you know what that means? Anyone? No one? It means that tomorrow is my 23rd birthday! Hello you guys, it's Molly here again for another video, and yes, I have almost made it 23 years. Can you believe I've made it this long? Because I can't. It was like a little touch and go for a while there back in 08, but we're good now, smooth sailing ahead, and shout out to anybody else whose birthday is on February 8th, or if you're just like a February baby or a fellow 94 baby, shout out to you, you're pretty awesome. So I was trying to think about ideas for a birthday video once I realized that I always upload on Tuesdays and my birthday was on a Wednesday. I knew I had to do some kind of birthday video, so I was thinking of different things from throughout my childhood, how obsessed I was with clowns and insisted on having one at every single birthday. Jeannie Jellybean was like my queen. She was my favorite clown. How I would never open birthday gifts in front of anybody, just refused to. I'm gonna insert like some photos of my childhood, my adorable birthday photos. But yeah, I was trying to think of different things, and then I thought about the fail. Actually, my mother reminded me of the fail that was my 19th birthday. So that's what I want to share with you today. But side note, before I get into that, actually, this is so weird. So as many of you probably know, I have a disease called retinitis pigmentosa, or RP for short. And most diseases and conditions and causes have like ribbons and ribbon colors associated with them. And the ribbon associated with RP is purple. I just recently learned this, which is why I'm sharing it with you, because I think it's exciting. And purple was the favorite color I had when I was losing my vision because of RP. And purple happens to be the birthstone color for February babies, and I was born in February. So I realized this and my mind was blown, and I'm pretty sure it's just like another sign that I was meant to be a blind February baby. It just, all the stars aligned. So I don't know, I think that's like a really strange coincidence, and I know it has nothing to do with this video, but I thought, well, it has a little bit to do with it, but I thought I'd share that little tidbit of information. So anyways, I'll get into the actual story now. So back when I was turning 19, when I was 18, I was living on my own in downtown Toronto, and my 19th birthday happened to fall on a Friday night, which could not be more convenient. And so I invited all of my friends to come to my apartment and have a party for my birthday on the Friday night. But that day I also had a speech. I was speaking in London, Ontario at Western University. So it was about a 2-hour drive away from where I lived, which wasn't gonna be a big deal because my speech was around probably like 10:30 in the morning. So I could easily drive out, speak, and drive home and be back with plenty of time for my party. Wasn't too concerned about it. But this was, of course, February, and it's Canada, and we get a lot of snow. Well, not this winter, but most winters we get a ton of snow. And 2013 was a really bad year for snow in Canada, at least in Ontario. And so on the 7th, the Thursday, we started to get a really, really bad snowstorm coming into Toronto. So my boss decided it would be a good idea for my assistant and I to drive to London on the Thursday night, the night ahead, stay over that night, wake up, do the speech, and then drive home. I wasn't thrilled about this idea, to be honest, but you know, it was my job, gotta do what you gotta do. So we had to leave like ASAP if we were gonna hit the roads before the storm got too bad. So I ran home to my apartment, packed up a little bag, got my dog ready. We hopped into the company car, which was a really stylish mom minivan, and we hit the road. We brought snacks with us. We brought the, I'm pretty sure we brought the Taylor Swift Red album to listen to. And on the way, the storm was getting so bad. We ended up having to actually stop very shortly into the drive at a Canadian Tire to get our windshield wipers fixed, because obviously those are crucial in a storm and they weren't working. And the entire drive to London we were hearing just constant radio reports of like, don't get in your car, don't drive, stay where you are, stay home, don't leave your houses. Police are urging people, don't get on the roads. Crashes are happening everywhere. It was like so terrifying. And we're driving so slow. Like, we're on a highway just driving so slow. There's hardly any cars. Like, we are one of the only cars on the road, and we're like, what are we doing? And they were even like, hotels were actually like offering very cheap prices just so people would not drive out of the city to go home. Like, their half-hour drive home from work, they were like, no, don't get in your car, don't drive that half-hour home, stay at a hotel. All hotels are like offering cheap prices. Like, the whole community was just banding together so that everybody was safe and staying off the roads. Yet here we are, like, in our little minivan driving together, like the pitch black of night. And the 2-hour drive took us 6 hours. 6 hours. That's like from Toronto to Montreal, not Toronto to London. So by the time we got there, it was so late at night. We were so hungry. We stopped and grabbed food at a pizza place, which was like the only place open. And we actually went to my assistant's parents' home because she grew up in London, so that was really convenient. And I hardly slept that night. It was like, I just was really restless, couldn't get comfortable. It was a hardwood floor, and my dog was restless too, so I could hear her claws like ticking all night and her chain hitting the floor. And I honestly don't know why I didn't think to just like take the chain off, but I didn't. So I didn't get much sleep. My dog didn't get much sleep. And the next morning we woke up and realized like the full extent of this storm, which was still going on. And we were like, there's no way this event is happening. Like, for sure this event is canceled. So we called the person who was organizing the speech, and it was actually a student who was organizing it. And she was like, nope, we're still gonna do the event. And we were like, all right, well, you know, it's what the client says goes, you know, it's their event, it's not mine, I'm just showing up to speak. So I was like, all right. So we got ready. Luckily the venue was really close to the house, so we just drove over very carefully. Again, one of the only cars on the road. And they were expecting about 300 students to show up, and about 40 showed up. And if you're a speaker, then you know, like, the bigger the audience, the better. The smaller the audience, the more stressful, the more nervous I get. So it wasn't ideal, but again, like, that's my job. You gotta do what you gotta do. Show must go on. It was really sweet. My brother actually went to Western, so he showed up for the speech. He was gonna bring his friends, but they all bailed, which, fair. My hip just cracked. I don't know if you guys just heard that, but my hips crack a lot. Anyways, so he showed up. All the buses, like all the city buses were canceled. All the Western classes were canceled. School was closed. Public transport was closed. Like, everywhere was just shut down, except this event. So I did the speech. It was fine, you know, nothing too eventful. And then we just got in the car and started the drive home. And throughout this very slow drive home, no cars on the road. I think we saw like 1 or 2 cars that had like spun out in ditches. It was terrifying. Luckily, my assistant was a very safe driver. Bless her. We were safe. But the whole drive home, I just was getting text after text from all of my friends telling me that they couldn't make it into Toronto. The storm was too bad. They couldn't make it tonight. They were so sorry. And I literally didn't even have to cancel the party because the party was canceled for me. Like, everybody, not one person could come. So at that point I was like, there's no point in me going back into Toronto to just spend my birthday alone. I might as well just go home. So I had my assistant drop me off at my parents' house. My dad was away on business at the time, so it was just my mom and I, and obviously my brother was at school. And I didn't mention earlier, but 19 is actually the legal drinking age in Ontario, where I live. In Canada, some provinces are 18 and some are 19. And so obviously that's like a pretty exciting birthday for people. So like 19, it's like I wanted to go to the bar with my friends or something like that and like buy my first drink. And so at home I was like, Mom, I really want to go to like a bar or something. And so we called around. Every bar was closed. Every restaurant was closed. Like, there was nowhere that I could go to buy myself a drink. So My mom, being the wonderful woman she is, called up our LCBO, which is like the Ontario liquor store, and it was open, like the only place open. And so my mom and I got all of our snow gear on, like I'm talking snow boots, snow pants, coats, scarves, the big snow mitts, hats, everything. We were decked out and walked over a couple blocks to the liquor store. And when we got there, it was literally one store clerk and us. That was it. And we picked up a little bottle of Bailey's, and I went up to the woman and I was like, you have to ID me. Like, I was like, you have got to ID me. And I mean, look, I look so young. We all know she was probably going to ID me, but sometimes, I feel like sometimes if you're with a parent and the parent is paying, which my mom ended up buying it for me for my birthday, sometimes they don't ID you because it's like the parent buying themselves alcohol. So I was like, no, you have to ID me. I have to be able to show that I'm legal to be able to do this on my own. So she ID'd me and we got the alcohol, we walked home. And when I got home, there was nobody outside. The snow, I cannot even express to you how much snow was on the ground. It was covered. Like when we were walking in the middle of the streets with snow up to like our knees because there was no cars driving or anything. So when I got back, I decided to play in the snow like a child. And it was just pitch black out and nobody was outside but my mom and I and my guide dog. And so I'm playing in the snow like a little kid. And we have this spotlight out front of our door. And it's like, it's on the ground, so it was in the snow. And I realized that if I sat in front of the spotlight and I put snow on my gloves and I clapped my hands, the snow would like fly into the air. And because it was in front of this super bright spotlight, I could like see, I don't know, like a mist. It would like kind of fog the light so I could kind of see a mist of snow. And that was the closest I have ever gotten to seeing a snowflake. That is as close as I will ever get to seeing a snowflake, and it was like a huge, huge moment for me. And I literally sat there for like 10 minutes, like a giddy child who was seeing snow for the first time, but as a 19-year-old woman. And it was, my mom still remembers this too. Like it was so exciting. And that was it. Like that was my birthday. I never rescheduled my party because I was just so busy traveling with work. And when I look back, like honestly, that's the worst birthday I can think of. That's the worst birthday I've had. Nothing really went to plan. A lot of fails happened, but I truly believe like we can choose to look back on these bad days in our lives and just think of how much it sucked, or we can choose to look back and find a positive. And for me, I try to look back and look at my 19th birthday and think, okay, I didn't get to go out with all my friends and party. I didn't get to go buy myself a drink for the first time legally at a bar. I was stuck in this awful snowstorm. My speech didn't go great. I could look at all those things, or I could look at it and be like, I got to see snow and I got to play in the snow and I got to like sit there like a child with snow, like tapping my gloves to have the snow mist in front of a light, and that was so fun. And I choose to look at it and think, that day I got to see snow for the first / only time, instead of looking at all the other negatives that happened. And I think it's so easy for us in life to just think about all those negative things that have happened, but being positive is a choice. Being happy is a choice, and I choose happiness. I choose to be positive. And so I don't know, I just think it's important to try to find those good moments, even in all of the bad that might exist. Alright, so that's my story for you today. If you remember that storm back in February of 2013, give this a thumbs up. If you're a February baby, give this a thumbs up. And in the comment section below, I would love to hear, what's your worst birthday experience, or do you have like a day or a moment in your life that really sucked but you were able to find that bright spot? I definitely want to hear your stories. I have some videos over here that you can click on if you want to see more of my face. You can see my social media links right down below there, so definitely check those out, and I will see you next time. Bye guys!